I've always hated the dark. Not in the way children fear ghost stories. I mean, real fear. The fear of not knowing what lies beyond it. Most people in town thought I was strange. A grown man afraid of the dark. But they don't know what happened to my friend Oren when we were children. Well, at least most of them don't. We used to play in the woods north of town with sticks, pretending to be knights. One night, we stayed out too long. The sun disappeared faster than we expected. I remember hearing Oren, deep between the trees, calling my name. Again and again. I stood there at the edge of the dark, too afraid to go after him. By morning, he was gone. People searched the woods for days, but they never found him. I spent most of my life inside my bakery, at the center of town where it was warm and bright. Most mornings, I wake up long before the sunrise to start the ovens. By the time the rest of the town opened their shutters, I had already been awake for hours. I used to carry firewood through empty streets with nothing but a lantern. I hated those walks every single time. People started disappearing near the end of autumn. At first, it was merchants traveling the northern road. Hunters vanished next. A week later, farms outside the walls started going silent overnight. Families disappeared without a sound. Rumors say that houses were empty and meals were left untouched. Candles burned all the way down. Doors left hanging open. But no bodies. No blood. Nothing. The elders blamed raiders first, and then wolves after that. Some even claimed deserters from the southern wars were hiding in the forest. None of it explained how entire homes were emptied out without anyone hearing a thing. Messengers were eventually sent south to request aid from the realm's capital. Everyone knew help could take weeks to arrive. The roads were dangerous that late in autumn. The messengers never returned. That caused panic among the people. Families abandoned homes outside the walls and crowded into the town. Windows stayed boarded shut after sunset. The Night's Watch doubled patrols. A few nights later, the watchmen started disappearing too. One entire patrol vanished a few streets from the market square. The only thing left behind were their lanterns lying in the street. That was the night I got drafted into the watch. The captain said it wasn't voluntary anymore. Too many men were already gone. We need every man we can get, he told me. I remember looking at the lantern they handed me and feeling sick, knowing it wouldn't save me from whatever was out there. If you're enjoying the story, subscribing really helps the channel. Anyway, let's keep going. The first few nights passed by quietly. I walked beside 3 other men, carrying lanterns through the streets. Nobody talked much after dark anymore. The whole town is silent at night now. No tavern music, no late conversations, just the wind moving through empty streets. Every now and then we'd hear something moving in the dark. I can't tell exactly what, but whenever we stopped to listen, the sound would stop too. One night we passed by the butcher shop near the eastern road. There was a narrow alley beside it. I'd walk past it almost every day of my life. But that night, there was this darkness about it. The light can't seem to reach the walls, like the dark was swallowing it. I remember slowing down to look further, and one of the guards immediately grabbed my arm. He didn't even look at me, just quietly said, "Keep walking." A few nights later, I realized the watchman had stopped checking certain streets entirely. Nobody explained why. They just quietly turned around before reaching them. One of the older watchmen finally noticed me staring. He lowered his lantern and said, "We lost 3 men there already." The nights arrived. 6 nights later during a storm. 20 mounted men in dark steel, carrying lanterns chained to their saddles. For the first time in weeks, people actually smiled again. Children came outside to watch them ride through the gates. Even I felt relieved. Their captain stood in the square while rain hammered against the rooftops, and he promised the roads would be cleared within days. The knights lit huge fire pits outside the walls. Lantern wagons rolled through every major street until almost dawn. For the first time in weeks, nobody disappeared. The next night, half the knights never came back. The survivors returned just before sunrise. Some without horses, some without weapons. One man kept screaming to close the gates. Another refused to let go of his lantern, even after the flame has burned out. I remember looking for the captain among them. He wasn't there. After that, the knights stopped going near the roads outside the walls after dark. Even the surviving ones stayed close to the fires near the gates. They started burning abandoned farmland outside town instead, trying to keep the darkness further from the walls. People still disappeared anyway. The night I finally saw it, I was assigned near the northern gate, beside 2 men from the watch and one of the knights. Somewhere beyond the walls, I could hear someone calling for help. A child's voice, weak, crying. I recognized it immediately. Oren. "Thomas." It was soft and faint, coming from somewhere beyond the darkness outside the gate. The watchman heard it too. One of them quietly whispered, "Don't answer it." The voice called out again, closer this time. "Thomas." And again, "Thomas." None of us moved. The knight slowly walked toward the open gate, holding his lantern out in front of him. I remember seeing the road outside for maybe a second, the trees beyond the fields. Then the light from the lantern went out. We heard the knight scream once. That was it. The man beside me grabbed me immediately and pulled me backward away from the gate. Nobody went near the walls again that night. By sunrise, people were already gathering near the square, talking about the knight that disappeared. Some were demanding the gates be opened so they could leave before the night came again. Others kept saying the roads were worse than the town. I remember seeing families loading carts near the southern gate while the elders argued with them. Even some of the surviving knights looked ready to leave. I went back to my bakery just before sunrise after my patrol ended. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the lantern while unlocking the door. I couldn't stop thinking about the voice outside the walls, the way it called my name. Then I remembered something I hadn't thought about in years. The night Oren disappeared, he never screamed. He just kept calling my name from somewhere beyond the trees. Exactly the same way the voice called out to me outside the gate. I don't think that was ever Oren calling for me in the woods.